On our last episode, we talked briefly about an alternate ending to the movie Empire Strikes Back. Now, of course, I had to go fact-check this to make sure that your statements were true. Turns out they were. But I also came across an early draft of the film that was written by Lee Brackett.
This is a woman who goes back decades writing film noirs and sci-fi movies. She knew her stuff.
She wrote an early draft of the movie back in 1978, right before she died of cancer. Her version had some noticeable differences from the final version, and a lot of our viewers probably know this already, but I find these very entertaining, and I'm going to tell you about them.
Let me guess right now. Han and Chewie make out.
Yoda's original name was Minch.
Minch I am.
The rebel base on Hoth is attacked by an army of Wampa snow monsters.
We just get the one.
He's the one in the cave. Right?
Which they didn't even know how to film back then. So an army of them would have been a lot of discretionary camera work.
Vader is not Luke's father. Leia is not Luke's sister. Han Solo does not get frozen in carbonite. In fact, at the end of the movie, he goes off to meet with his father, stepfather to be specific, Owen Marikal. And lastly, and I wish that this made it into the final version, I wish it so much, Darth Vader has pet gargoyles. That would have made that final lightsaber battle so much more interesting. I will never join you. Oh yeah? Sick 'em, boys. I've got a bunch of movies that I've never seen before. You don't know what they are. Every episode, I'm going to spring one on you. It might be good. It might be bad. We'll watch it and talk about it. Welcome to the basement. It's spring here in the basement, and so our theme for this month is summer.
It made so much sense last time.
Summer is a time to get out and visit some of the beautiful natural landmarks of this great country of ours, while you still can. The Snake River Canyon, Redwood National Park, the Painted Desert, or a little part of the Amargosa Range east of Death Valley known as Zabriskie Point.
Oh, you bastard. I'm going to need some caffeine for this one, I think.
What do you know about this movie? Why are you dreading it so much?
How do I get excited for something I've never heard a good thing about?
Released in 1970, Zabriskie Point was the second of 3 English-language films that Italian maestro Michelangelo Antonioni directed for producer Carlo Ponti and to be distributed by MGM. The other 2 were Blow Up and The Passenger. The film intended to appeal to the counterculture audiences that made Easy Rider such a hit the previous year. However, this did not work. This movie was a colossal bomb, making only about $900,000 in grosses domestically against a $7 million budget. It has been described as the worst movie ever made by a director of genius. This soundtrack features a who's who of musical legends, such as Roy Orbison, Pink Floyd, The Grateful Dead, The Rolling Stones, and John Fahey. The Doors wrote the song L'America for this film, but it was not used. The location was named after Christian Brevoort Zabriskie, vice president of the Pacific Coast Borax Company.
Borax! It's what's for dinner.
It is composed of sediments from Furnace Creek Lake, which dried up 5 million years ago. Its highest point is known as Manly Beacon. Are these essential facts or merely trivia? I don't know, but I do know what this gift is.
Trivia, entertainment.
Why don't you open that up and try to stump me?
Which fictional country finds Groucho as its president in Duck Soup?
Fredonia. Hail, hail, Fredonia. Well, fill up your canteen with water, get in your van, and drive on out to the remote point known as Zabriskie Point, where the old leather couch is sitting there, and we will sit on it and we will watch Zabriskie Point.
Point. I'm already feeling stoned.
Music provided by that aloof guy who comes to parties with his bongos. And who somehow ends up getting laid every time.
Rod Taylor.
Oh, nice.
Get in your time machine and don't do this movie.
Zabriskie Point begins with a meeting of a bunch of revolutionaries.
Yeah, they're gonna stick it to the man.
A lot of white students are already out on the streets fighting just like you guys do in the ghetto.
We're just as groovy.
But unlike you guys, we're eventually gonna vote Republican.
Pell-mell into fascism. I mean, the pigs on the...
Pell-mell into Fascism was a hardcore album that I released back in 1985. One of them, Mark, isn't into all this talking. It's not his bag. He's a man of action.
There's only one way to talk to a man, and that's in his own language.
Elsewhere, there's a girl who works at a corporation, Daria. I can never leave this desk. I'm raised out via a crane. This businessman comes out. You have moxie, and you're attractive. I want you to be my assistant.
There's a bunch of driving around in a truck.
Check out all this consumerism. We got it. We got it. Moving on.
Signor Antonioni, should we set up a dolly track for this shot? No. Just put a camera in back of truck. Sir, we need the script pages for today. No pages.
Mark drops off a buddy at a protest.
Well, anyway, our line's gonna be in front of the administration building all day.
Okay. Love you. The big protest happens, and a bunch of people go to jail.
Any money in that wallet? $2.
Could I borrow $1?
A friend of mine was arrested this morning.
That guy has all the charisma of a marionette. Hey, hi! Aw. He's sick of the man. It's time to go to a gun store and buy a gun.
Oh, you can't buy guns until we run your name through the Capitol building up in Sacramento. Oh, but if you really need one, you can have a small gun to go. The businessman is the realtor. He's putting together something called Sunny Dunes Estates. They're gonna build suburbs out in the desert. You can just get away from all this urban decay.
You gals will really enjoy the fully equipped Sunny Dunes kitchen.
Don't open that refrigerator. Indiana Jones is in there. His phone still doesn't work.
And the TV's only telling me the time.
Gotta fire that agent. He really screwed me this time.
Do you know where I could reach Daria?
Well, sir, I think some Malox could help you. Oh, Daria. Sorry.
The businessman sends Daria to Phoenix.
Truck in. Out to Desert Springs and gonna open an account at the savings and loan and deposit some money in there. What a perfectly normal trip it will be. There's another protest. Boy, this flash mob is going terribly.
It's turning into a mob.
Some guys are cornered in a building and the cops throw in tear gas. They all come out. Good job, Officer Zimmerman. Mark's there too, and Mark has his gun.
A cop gets shot. Did Mark do it? We don't know.
A sandwich is made.
Just wondering if you'd trust me for the price of a sandwich.
Not that I don't trust you personally, but if I trusted you, I'd have to trust everybody in the whole world.
Just trusting a small country like Luxembourg would bankrupt me. Mark goes down to the airport. There's this little plane that he takes a shine to. He gets in and takes off.
Lily 7, Hawthorne Car.
It looks like I took the wrong week to stop sniffing glue, over. Daria ends up in this small hole-in-the-wall town.
The Crumpus Room.
Don't be there December 24th.
Turn on the TV, I need to see the time.
There's this group of feral kids running around, causing vandalism and mischief.
Street rats. A young Philip Glass makes a splash on Hollywood.
Here we have Charles Blandberg. This plane is flying around and it's buzzing close to her car.
Christ, who the hell is that?
I have reacted sufficiently to what just happened.
Then comes the oldest seduction known to man. Plane and car. He drops something from the plane.
Here's my smallpox blanket. The plane lands and Mark and Daria meet. Yeah, don't cotton to it. They find themselves at Zabriskie Point.
Ah!
And they talk and talk and talk.
Did you hear that the Mexican Air Force is bombing the grass along the border?
Did you hear that the Polish Navy submarines all have screen doors?
Dope.
Not particularly.
You think if you can get rid of them, we'll have a whole new scene?
Why not? Can you think of any other way that we can go about it?
This is what happens when two characters have no wants or needs.
Yeah, to make you forget how terrible it really was.
That's the point. Nothing's terrible.
Beg to differ.
So anyway.
Line.
Is that gypsum?
Well, it ain't table salt.
You like that one, do you? That's a funny one? Yeah?
And then they make love.
Come on, movie, give us something. Don't get all artsy and discreet right now.
Ooh, you taste like sand.
The what? The he? The hoo-ha? What? And let me tell you, this lovemaking is so intense that it conjures other people into existence. It's a big sand orgy. I imagine this is very unpleasant for these actors.
They're well compensated. They got $15 and a couple of joints.
But those people don't really exist. They're just symbols. Because once Mark and Daria are done, they go away.
The guy who killed the cop, they said that
They? Who's they?
on the radio.
Fake news.
Mark did not kill the cop at that protest. Someone else did it before he could.
He reacted to something that happened. It's a miracle.
Mark and Daria and a local yokel paint the plane all kinds of crazy colors.
That's a great thing, man. Sure is.
Am I too old to be groovy?
Mark says, I'm going to return the plane.
Bye, Mark. He flies back to L.A. All the cops in the world are waiting for him.
Small plane, but they don't come very cheap, I can tell you that much.
And it was painted very conservatively. I did not paint it in a crazy way at all. No oil, please. Think of my family.
Well, that thief has got to bring the plane back someday. Because he's probably an idiot.
He lands the plane, and they shoot him dead.
Renee hears the news on the radio.
Daria.
Renee? Where'd I get Renee? She finally makes it to Phoenix.
There's this big fancy house, and her boss is inside, and he's giving a business presentation to a bunch of other business boys. They're developers who want to exploit Zabriskie Point, a natural landmark falling prey to moneyed interests only in the movies.
We don't want to get in over our heads any more than you people do.
You people? Oh, wait a minute. You people? Daria walks around a little bit, says hello to her.
Meaningful occurrence.
And then decides to leave. She would have achieved the same effect if she would have just said emotion. She looks back at the house.
And destroys it with mind missiles.
The house blows up about 11 or 12 times. And to think his previous film was blow up.
Oh!
And then suddenly, everything blows up. Bread, chickens, anything you can imagine. But it's not really exploding. It's just exploding inside Daria's head brain.
Then she gets into her car and rides off into the sunset. Now off to muddling my way through the 70s. Marrying kind of well for myself because I'll preserve my looks enough. I'll vote for Reagan in '84, and from there on, I'll just give the whole 60s thing lip service.
Signor Antonioni, we've shot the final shot. Signor? He's gone. And $7 million is missing.
So that's Zabriskie Point. Yes, end it. Ah!
We watched Zabriskie Point.
Why did you do it, Mr. Antonioni? Perché? Perché?
I don't want to focus merely on the negative, because let's try and figure out what the pros were.
You can take the movie out of the genius, but you can't take the genius out of the movie. The compositions of so many of the shots. I thought it was going to be a lost cause when they just had those endless shots of point of view driving through traffic.
It's interesting, in the city we got the shaky cam, and once we got out to the desert, we were locked down. As far as the landscapes go, that doesn't really do much for me. If a movie just has pretty pictures, it's not enough. But the explosions at the end in particular, I really enjoyed that part. Be all that as it may, as far as the movie as a whole goes, there's no there.
No.
It's as if the filmmaker said this movie has a shelf life of this week, because it's so much of its time.
Total U.S. servicemen killed in Vietnam is nearing 50,000.
It's almost like it's a cinematic newspaper. But does that translate over the decades?
It's so easy to think about the 60s as being like, oh yeah, and we protested.
Sit-ins and love-ins.
Yeah, well, this makes it look really as though the world is falling apart and people are fighting for it.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people who lived in cities thought, well, any day now my neighborhood could get burned down, or a public building I walk into could blow up.
That happened in Madison. Well, a building was blown up.
Right. So this movie wanted to be the Easy Rider of 1970. You look at those two movies side by side, there are lots of similarities. We have two people who are on a journey. We have a somewhat amorphous plot on both sides.
We have lots of great landscape photography.
We have great music, and it's a portrait of the time. I think the notable difference is that in Easy Rider, the two guys have a destination and they have a reason for taking the journey.
Because when Rod Taylor's talking about Daria going to Phoenix, I don't know who Daria is yet, or why she's going to Phoenix.
My biggest beef is that so much of it is so dull. If they trimmed 25 minutes out of it, I think it would be a lot better.
I can understand why Antonioni would think that this is okay, because there is this famous shot in L'Avventura where Monica Vitti is running down a very long hallway and she just keeps running and running and running. And when it premiered at Cannes, someone in the audience yelled out, "Cut!" 5 days later, he had the Palme d'Or, the top prize at Cannes.
Right.
No one will ever tell me cut again. I will cut nothing.
So Sam Shepard had a hand in this.
Yeah.
I noticed a lot of screenwriters in those opening credits, and I get the feeling that their screenwriting meetings were a lot like that first scene in the movie. Just a lot of yelling and contradictory opinions and ideas flying around.
A lot of script writers, not much script.
Another movie that this has a lot of similarities to, is particularly the first half hour of it, is the movie Medium Cool. That almost functions as fiction as journalism.
Or journalism as fiction, matters how you look at things.
Whereas this movie doesn't function as journalism or fiction. It's just a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Flying up in the air, just like the ending.
What happened with the guy in it?
Oh, I meant to look that up.
Yeah, look that up. He did jail time.
Turns out he robbed a bank.
Mm-hmm.
He was sentenced to 6 to 15 years in prison. He died in prison in 1975 due to a weightlifting accident.
A weightlifting accident?
Yep. A couple of years ago, I got on a kick where I was watching old episodes of The Dick Cavett Show. They have a couple of pretty good box sets out. One of them was from 1970, and it featured the two leads of this film promoting the movie. It is the worst talk show interview I have ever seen. And I've seen Joaquin Phoenix on Letterman. The guy's a total meathead.
Mm-hmm.
The girl was so shy she could barely speak. And the worst part was that they were on the couch sitting next to Mel Brooks.
Oh, no.
Mel Brooks was merciless with them. I kind of felt bad for him, but then if you look at it from his point of view, I'm sure he was hearing television sets across the nation changing channels, and he's like, I gotta get him back. I gotta let out my inner Max Bialystock.
There's a number of things written down in this movie that we don't get to read. There's that t-shirt that he drops from the skies. There's the message she writes on the ground. What's up with that?
We sort of made a lot of fun of Signor Antonioni during this, saying that he was just sort of blowing off this project, but I get the feeling that really a lot was put into this.
Yeah.
Things that you don't catch on the first viewing, but there's not going to be a second viewing. I can't sit through this thing again.
Well, you have to. You get to edit it. I'm not going to sit through it again.
Damn it! Final thoughts on Zabriskie Point.
It very much reeks of a man's first trip to California, where you're either really turned on by it or really turned off by it. And he was obviously really turned off by L.A., but really turned on by the desert.
You want to start a revolution, man? Well, why don't you go on over to our website, welcometothebasementshow.com. You can see all the episodes we've ever made, and there's a PayPal donation button, 2 of them, in fact. One of them will let you make a one-time donation. The other one will let you make a rolling monthly donation. You can help support our show. One of our recent donors was Pearl Street Patterns, who says, "Love, welcome to the basement. What a fun and insightful show. When my kids were young, we would go to the theater to watch the latest flick and then go out to eat and talk about the movie. Fun times. Thumb kisses to all." If you want to find out who the rest of our donors are and to see the contents of our mailbag, you can watch Unboxing this coming Friday. There is the return of something that hasn't been on Unboxing for quite a while, and Craig and I do a brief one-act play.
Based on reality.
Plus there's postcards, packages, outtakes, and all kinds of fun.
And now it's time for Scen It.
Scen. Well, we may not have fallen in love with Zabriskie Point, but we certainly did groove to some tunes.
Yeah.
And so our theme for Scen It is music.
Sammy4549 writes, "You guys should see Amadeus, a sad tale of a musical genius and a requiem for his funeral which never was finished or played for him. Scen It."
Scene it.
Scene it. It showed constantly on the movie channel when I was young, and I watched it every single time, I think. It's one of the few movies that won Best Picture at the Oscars that I think truly deserved it.
Sometimes an actor will just be a bit too modern in their voice and their demeanor and their carriage, and they just scream modern person. When it comes to Tom Hulce, I get a little bit of that from him. When I see him, I think Parenthood. But Mozart himself was so ahead of his time. He was more modern than anyone who were his contemporaries. And so that disconnect works in this context. T.A. Epley, our old buddy, writes, might I suggest Quadrophenia, perhaps the best film about a musical culture ever made. Seen it.
Seen it.
There's something about coming-of-age movies that is very melancholy because it usually involves the final loss of innocence. You just see this kid, he's trying to figure everything out. He discovers that the girl he's in love with doesn't really love him back, and the coolest guy in the world is a bellboy.
Yeah.
And it just really bummed me the hell out. It's very melancholy.
Yeah, the last act of that movie is a boy's world being destroyed.
But at the same time, you realize, well, he's a man now. And my favorite scene in this movie, these kids are at this party, someone puts on The Who's My Generation, and the room just explodes. Mm-hmm. Everyone loves it. Everyone's dancing. It's such a joyous scene.
And its music used as a weapon because the girl that he loves is slow dancing with someone else, and so he switches it out.
Oh, nice.
It's set in the early 60s, at a time when this movie could not have been made. It had to wait until 1979 to be put together so that you could have a movie as raw, as violent, as sexy and just sexual as this movie is. Gabriel Martino says, Sing Street, probably not the technically best movie of 2016, but easily my favorite. Gabriel, you and I have something in common. I know this isn't the best movie of 2016, but I loved it.
Of course you did, because this movie really wants you to love it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it wants you to give it a big hug and put it on your turntable and spin it all night long. But, like that geeky boy who wants to date the prettiest girl in the school, it tries a bit too hard.
Yeah, there's no girls in that school. She lived across the street from the school. It's a boys' school.
Immaterial. It wanted to be two movies at once. It wanted to be a movie about kids who form a band and try to figure that whole thing out. And then it wanted to be a movie about a kid who pursues a girl. I wanted it to be a band movie.
Yeah, but why do you get in a band? That's what the entire movie is about. Get into the band so that you get the girl.
There were 2 or 3 of those band members. I didn't even know who they were. They weren't even characters. I wanted to know more about the band. I wanted this to be the Commitments.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some great parts of it. I love the fact that the band really changes their identity every time they hear a new song. It's got Tommy Littlefinger Carcetti, otherwise known as This Guy, who plays a very Irish dad. But there were other things that really irritated me, like the goddamn period anachronisms. No one in 1984 was saying the phrase daddy issues. No one before 2000 was saying that phrase. But it comes up in this, and it takes me right out of it. It may seem nitpicky, but it's not. Eli Taylor, I would love to hear what you have to say about the Beatles doc 8 Days a Week, the touring years. It perfectly depicted how tough and talented they really were. Also, the new 4K footage in Shea Stadium and the rest of the film is breathtaking. Seen it.
Seen it.
This was, I know, produced by Ron Howard. I'm not sure if Ron Howard put it together.
I think he directed it.
In that case, one thing that this was missing was an Arrested Development type narration. The next day, the Beatles woke up to this. They were not happy.
I made a huge mistake.
It's me, George. I'm a never nude. I never get nude.
That's Seen It.
And that's our show. We watched Zabriskie Point. We got through it, though. And if you haven't seen it, check it out.
And if you can't, track down the soundtrack. It's a keeper.
In May, we celebrated summer. What does June hold for us? Well, June rhymes with a little word called cartoon, and so we're bringing back Cartoon June!
Yes!
2 animated movies. Do you think you know what they are? Let us know in the comments. And be sure to check out the links at the end of this. You can perhaps see one of our episodes that you might have missed. We will see you in June. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, wrong. It's got all those nice jokes painted all over it.
What? Jokes? No. Jokes are for the ground, not the air, and not underwater.
That's the point. Nothing's terrible.